Time and time again, I'm hearing Etsy sellers asking, is Etsy oversaturated? And the answer might not be something you're ready to hear. Get ready for a total truth bomb about selling on Etsy in 2024. Okay, y'all, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but bear with me here. The people out there right now that are saying that Etsy is oversaturated and they're pinpointing the fact that they cannot be successful on Etsy because it's oversaturated, those are probably the people that would not have been successful selling on Etsy whether the niche they chose was saturated or not. Now, before you go curse me out in the comments, I get it, but hear me out why I think this is true. There are brand new Etsy sellers breaking into saturated niches all the time and finding success. My video feed on my YouTube channel is full of successful examples of newbies and seasoned pros alike that are finding ways to stand out in their niche regardless of it being saturated. But those are the people who found a way. They said they were going to do it and they made it happen. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that are saying that they can't do the same thing, they can't be successful the way these other sellers have because it is now just too saturated, are wrong. But I didn't just make this video to be mean and say, well, I guess they just suck to suck. I actually made it because my goal with everything I do in this channel is to help you. So I do have some great insights coming with this bombshell information, I promise. So why does it seem to be so easy for some Etsy sellers to break through regardless of which niche they chose, whereas other sellers who are selling similar products really struggle to even get their listings seen? The successful Etsy sellers manage to break through those niches because they found a way to add something original or something unique or do something in a way that it hadn't quite been done before. And that gave them a competitive advantage. So the question becomes, how exactly can you find your competitive advantage? How can you find a way to stand out in a saturated niche or an overdone niche and actually make a product that people are going to notice in the search feed and fork over their money to buy? Well, I'm going to tell you in this video some ways that you can squeeze into any niche regardless of how saturated it is. But before we get into the juicy bits, I want to invite you to please quickly comment down below and let me know at least one Etsy niche that you personally think is oversaturated and might be a little bit difficult to break into. I'm going to be using these suggestions over the next couple weeks to put something cool together, so your comments are really going to help me to make that resource amazing, but I don't want to give any spoilers today, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Have you ever heard of the 7 Ps of marketing? It's actually a widely used marketing theory that's been around since first being introduced as the 4 Ps by E. Jerome McCarthy in 1960. And believe it or not, marketers have used the 7 Ps to gain competitive advantages and successfully break through even the most saturated markets and sell their products and services. And whether they do it intentionally or just maybe have a knack for it, a lot of Etsy sellers who find success in saturated niches have actually applied most of the 7 Ps to their own product creation and sales processes. So, without keeping you here for an hour, let's quickly dig through the 7 Ps and how they relate specifically to selling on Etsy so that you can find your own smashing success and start stockpiling cash in your bank accounts. So, P number 1, don't laugh, I know what I just said, is for product. You obviously have to have a great product that people are willing to fork over their hard-earned cash for, right? And in saturated niches, that means you have to have something that really catches people's attention, something unique or better in some way. So some of the ways to be able to do that, to stand out and be different, include micro niching down. And what this means is essentially making your niche smaller. So instead of selling in a broad category like jewelry, for example, think about focusing on a specific jewelry style like Art Deco rings or minimalist earrings. This allows you to cater to a more targeted audience, and it also helps you capture repeat buyers because people who like that particular style are more likely to shop from the same trusted, reliable shops that they have bought from in the first place, which means that once you gain those customers, they're more likely to be loyal to you for repeat purchases. Another way to be unique is to use different materials or techniques. And this means that you can experiment a little bit when creating your products. Think about materials or styles that are not commonly used in your niche. For example, hand-dyed silk scarves or wood-burned phone cases. Thinking of phone cases, right now there is actually a really popular niche on the rise for a faux 3D embroidered look phone case. They are printed and they look totally embroidered with little thread details, and they're beautiful. So, of course, they are gaining popularity like crazy right now. I also had a client see massive success with personalized stamped leather keychains. And that brings me to way number 3. Add customization or personalization options. Allowing buyers to personalize their products immediately puts you in a great niche that has tons of demand. And this could be as simple as engraving initials on a product or choosing colors that they want to have or even offering custom sizes. There's lots of ways that you can allow for personalization or customization other than simply putting a name on something. And there is more work involved in personalized products, but the sales volume and demand is significantly higher as well. So it kind of evens out. So P number 2 is for place. And luckily, as Etsy sellers, we already have this one covered. For place, it means that the product should be available from wherever your customers are more likely to be. So you want to sell in an obvious place where people are going to actually see your product. And since we already have an easy to shop from marketplace with built-in traffic, we already have that one in the bag. So we can move on to P number 3, which is price. Now, this is the one that sneaks up on Etsy sellers and drags them under, often without even realizing what they've done wrong. So the price principle says that the product should always be seen as representing good value for a fair amount of money. That doesn't always mean having the lowest price because being too cheap can give people the perception that your product is crappy when it's not, or it just turns people off. But on the flip side, and this is where a lot of Etsy sellers actually go wrong, setting your price too high can make it hard for you to compete against established sellers who already have a lot of feedback and a lot of customer service experience. So what I tend to see is that Etsy sellers will match their best competitors or the people that they perceive as being their best competitors' prices. And maybe that's just a little bit too high to break into this niche as a new seller. It is okay to set your prices down a little bit lower. Obviously, you want to break even as a bare minimum. But when you have little or no feedback, you're going to want to be as competitive with your pricing as possible. And as you start gaining feedback, then you can increase your price little by little until it's at a point where it matches or even surpasses your competitor's pricing without affecting your sales volume because you have proven that your product is worth the money. Okay, now P number 4 is promotion, which means advertising and marketing your product so that people can find it. But we have another competitive advantage there as well, just for being Etsy sellers, because Etsy is driving traffic to our stores every single day. As long as you have your SEO and great main images, you are going to start building up traffic once the algorithm figures out what your store is all about, what you sell, what your products are, and so forth. And by the way, if you need help with this, I do have a great Etsy Success Starter Kit that really simplifies everything from finding your perfect price to figuring out how to create good product listings. And there's also an exclusive video about getting your first few sales and standing out against competitors. So I will put that link down in the video description below, along with all of my other resources, including my free 5-day Etsy Seller Newbie mini course. So make sure you check those out. But there are also other ways to tackle promotion outside of Etsy's free traffic. So first of all, you're going to want to have those targeted keywords. Like I said a second ago, it is all about the SEO, baby. People can't find your item in the search pages if you're not using the right terms, the right keywords. So make sure you research relevant keywords that your ideal customers are actually searching for and incorporate them strategically into your listings. The second way is to utilize social media marketing. You can promote your shop on relevant social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, especially Pinterest. And Etsy loves organic traffic, so the more traffic that you refer from your own social media pages that actually come to Etsy and buy your product, the more Etsy is going to raise that listing in the search rankings because Etsy loves money. And when you bring them money, that's just bonus for everybody. Number 3 is SEO optimization. And I know I just talked about keywords, but your listing isn't the only place that you can use keywords and have them impact your shop. So you need to optimize your shop announcement and about section with relevant keywords as well to improve the search rankings for your shop's products overall. And I have some great infographics on my Instagram page at Insights by Jess that really break down all the different places in your shop where you can add those keywords, but my Etsy starter kit also covers that too. Okay, so P number 5 is for people, and it's all about having the right people on your team to foster success. Etsy stores are often a solo kind of gig, so maybe we might have 2 or 3 people running an Etsy store, but it's usually just ourselves. But for Etsy sellers, people actually mean something a little bit different. You're going to want to keep your people, aka your Etsy customers, happy if you want to keep growing as a successful Etsy store. And that means providing great customer service and tackling any issues with patience and kindness, even if your customers are not being very patient or kind. Trust me, customer service is one of the biggest factors in Etsy's algorithm, so always be responsive and make sure your customers are happy with their products. Now, P number 6 stands for processes. Processes? Comment down below, is it processes or processes? Anyways, this one is all about how you do what you do. You want to craft an about story and a store announcement that really showcases your process, showcases your passion, and really gets people excited to buy from you because they know that you love what you do and you are passionate about your process. And don't forget to include a thank you note at the end of your product descriptions, and you can put it at the end of your about story as well. Say thank you for shopping with whatever your store name is. Or even better, make it an image so potential buyers see it front and center. Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff, and I promise I did not intentionally save the most important P for last. But maybe the people who came up with the marketing theory did, since marketing is kind of their jam. P number 7 is for physical evidence. Now, for Etsy sellers, this is 2 things. 1, your product listing photos, and 2, your feedback. So buyers want to see tangible proof that what they're buying is actually going to be worth buying and that they're not going to be disappointed when they get their purchase from you. So that means that your product photos really need to pop. You'll only have a few seconds to catch their attention on those search pages, so make sure that you're showcasing the very best aspects of your product right away. And again, do some competitor research to see what your competitors' listing images look like, and make sure you're not missing something that could really help showcase your product even better. Adding a video to your listing is also a good way to provide that tangible proof. Etsy has some great stats to show that listings with videos get significantly more sales than listings without videos. So, at the very least, create a generic video that you can put on all of your listings, just saying something about your store, the products you sell, and maybe even thanking your buyers. A lot of times people think that they need to have some sort of revolutionary product in order to find success on Etsy, but it's really just about making sure that you've got the right components to get seen, get sales, and keep people happy. Those three things, which all come courtesy of the 7 Ps, are what helps Etsy recognize your shop as a great seller and boost you higher and higher and higher in those sales rankings. But there's one more P that applies to Etsy sellers that isn't part of the 7 P theory, at least not yet. And that eighth P is for patience. This is where a lot of Etsy sellers fail and give up. Etsy says it can take about 4 to 6 weeks just to get your listings classified in their algorithm. That means you likely won't see very many sales before then, even if your product is a banger. But if you get impatient and you update your SEO before that 4 to 6 weeks is up, you could be resetting that algorithm and have to start that process all over again. And a lot of times you won't even realize that that's what you've done. So you might see 8 or 10 weeks go by and not much progress get made, so you get frustrated and you quit. Or you might have the right SEO to start out with and see little to no results right away, change things, get frustrated, and then quit. Don't worry, I do have a free SEO cheat sheet also in that resource section. Tons of good stuff in there, so make sure you go check that out by the time you're done with this video. However, a lot of those newbie Etsy sellers may seem like they explode overnight. I have video after video of people having major success within their first year on Etsy. But what you cannot really see unless you go page by page of their seller feedback and try to piece together their sales trajectory is that those first few months are usually pretty slow for everybody. So don't be too hard on yourself if you're not seeing rapid results right away. Just keep focusing on the 7 Ps so that you can get great, unique, and high quality product listings out into the Etsy universe, and then have faith that time will do the rest. As always, I am rooting for you so hard, and I've got one more awesome way to help you boost your Etsy sales. So I'm going to redirect you to check out my sales psychology video all about how to add elements into your product listings to encourage more clicks and more sales. See you there.